Hey, it's Johara. Welcome back to my channel to uh talk about Scooby-Doo today. We're gonna talk about one of my favorite Scooby-Doo adaptations. There's only two Scooby-Doo adaptations I care about. The live action movies with Sarah Michelle Gellar and Freddie Prinze Jr. and Matthew Lillard and all of them. And then Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated is an amazing, phenomenal series. And the reason why I love it so much more than the other adaptations is, first of all, you really see growth within the characters and their relationships, and you really see how much they care about each other, individual relationships like Daphne and Fred, or them as a group. Which I feel like a lot of the other adaptations, it just feels very two-dimensional. The characters all have this one thing that it's about, and they just solve mystery after mystery, and it can be repetitive and boring, in my opinion. But this series isn't. Yeah, they still have these mysteries, but they individual first of all, the characters. Um, are very three-dimensional. They have more than just what they're stereotypical supposed to be about. Um, and you can tell how much they actually care about each other. Their friendship is what saves the world, which we'll get to. But basically, but even though they have individual, I can't speak today, mysteries, they still have an overarching mystery that they are trying to find clues for that has to do with so much. They uncover mysteries about past mystery solvers that are connected to them somehow. And um, the reason why Crystal Cove is so haunted, the reason why all these people have done what they've done and gone to mass and went all evil, they figure out everything. And I rewatched the show not that long ago and wrote down things um, from each episode that had if they mention something about the overarching mystery of Crystal Cove, which includes all the other mystery solvers and anything that has to do with the mystery itself, the main mystery, not the individual mysteries. I only mention the individual mysteries if it has something important to do with the main mystery of the entire show. Um, okay, so let's get into it. So season one, there's only two seasons. Um, from the episode, which is the very first episode, Beware from the Beast Below. While they're solving their first mystery of the show, Daphne finds the locket with a picture of a young couple, which obviously will come into play. At the end of the episode, they said they get the first message from Mr. E, who gives them messages and helps them with their mysteries for a little bit. He plays an important role later on as well. And he obviously is the first person that really shows that he knows something about the overarching mystery, telling them that finding the locket was the start of something and that they were doomed. He also meets Angel, who's the only adult that actually likes them and helps them. She's the radio host, but she also comes into play and is a very important role in all of this as well. The episode, The Creeping Creatures. Mystery sends them on a mystery and they get stuck at Gatorsburg. When they solve the mystery, Mr. E fixes their van so they can leave. Mystery wanted them to solve that mystery. Anything that has to do with mystery, even if it doesn't seem that important, I put because mystery is a very important role in all of this. The secret of the ghost rig. They get another voice message from Mr. E telling them that if they want to solve the mystery, they have to follow the fog. Crystal can't open doors like a diamond. They don't know if they can trust Mr. E, but it was the only lead they had and it helped them solve the mystery. Mystery kept helping them, and it's like they didn't know if they trusted him, and later on they definitely found out they can't trust him, but then again he ended up kind of siding with them in the end and sacrificing himself. It's the whole thing. I'll get there. I'm jumping a little bit ahead of myself. Revenge of the Man Crab. They get another message from Mr. E with an article about 4 kids disappearing in the Crystal Cove caverns. Now this is when the mystery really starts to unfold. Angel obviously knows something about it, plus a voice message. Mr. E suggests researching the missing kids. The gang follows the directions, finding out about the caverns and where they're located, helping solving the mystery. Velma shows Daphne the article, and Daphne recognizes 2 of them from the locket, and Angel was watching them as they discovered this. So it definitely plays into the fact that Angel knows something more than she's letting on. The Legend of Alice May. The game found out I can't speak old Crystal Cove yearbook and turns to the marked page, finding the missing kids, learning their names and that they were Mystery Incorporated. So there was another Mystery Incorporated before them. Turns out that the Alice May scheme was all a ruse set by Mr. E to get them the yearbook. He's definitely trying to get them to find. One thing that's confusing me about Mr. E is that he doesn't. He ends up helping Mr. He ends up helping Pericles, which I'll get to. Um, and all that, but and then at the end he ends up realizing that what they're doing isn't right. He misses Cassidy and he sacrifices himself for the gang. But then it's like, why was he, if he ends up helping Pericles and doesn't get his moment of realization till the end, then why is he helping them? Because I mean, you could say it never actually explains. Like, he obviously wants them to find out the mystery, but it never exactly explains his motivation stuff, you know? Like, it's just a little confusing. Like, I feel like there was a few things left unexplained that should have been explained, like why Mr. Heel was helping them at the beginning, only to turn on them and becoming one of their biggest enemies later on, only to turn on the enemies and help them in the end. It's just Mr. E. I don't even think he knew what side he was on. I think the difference between Judy, Brad, and Pericles was that, like Cassidy, he knew that they had went too far, that what they were doing was wrong, but he was also too corrupted by the town itself and couldn't fight it like Cassidy. So it's like he knew that Cassidy was right, but he didn't have the same willpower to fight the evil, if that makes any sense. Moving on. The grass of the gnome. Mr. E contacts the gang with a riddle to help them find Shaggy. Someone runs into Velma and drops a box from Mr. E that contains a letter saying this all has all happened before and a picture of the original Mystery Incorporated with the bird circled. Pericles was circled to give a hint about about Pericles himself and the connection between all the animals in each mystery gang, which we'll get more into. Um, Howl the Fright Hound. Daphne looks at the locket as music plays. You meet Professor Pericles. He speaks for the first time in years. He belonged to the original Mystery Incorporated. Clues await you, children. Clues that clues. I misspelled that. That's why I was confused. Okay. Clues await you, children. Clues that will lead you to the cursed treasure that feeds on Crystal Cove, is what he says. Beware of those that is closest to you. I'm especially talking to you, Frederick. Professor, that's a hint, obviously, for what happens at the end of season 1. Professor Pericles escapes this episode. Dun dun dun. Mr. E messages them, follow the parrot. He obviously didn't like that Pericles had escaped after everything that happened. The secret serum. Someone gives Daphne the clue to what the vampire is after, which obviously Mr. E. I think Mr. E wanted. I mean, see, I personally like my theory, but it could also be that Mr. E wanted them to trust him so that they would know whose side he was really on. But at the same time, you didn't even know whose side he was on, or who he was, or what his motive was, not until you find out more about the original Mystery Inc. and Pericles and Brad and Judy and Cassidy and all that. So who's to say, really? The Shrinking Madness. The group heads back to the van and sees a box and a letter. The box says Darrow University Library, Darrow Family Archives. Mr. E's letter says if the first Mystery Incorporated had what was inside this box, maybe they wouldn't have vanished. Inside had a lot of history from Crystal Cove. They didn't know about all this mystery, and because of it, they didn't stand a chance. And I see that's why I like my theory, and I think my theory might be right because he wanted to help these kids so that they don't follow the same mistakes. He didn't want anything bad to happen to them, like what happened to him and Pericles and Brad and Judy and Cassidy. But when Pericles escaped and got his claws back into him and Brad and Judy, and then all that, I think that he just couldn't fight the evil that was trying to turn him like it did everyone else. And unlike Cassidy, who was able to fight it. And so it's like he wanted to help the kids, but he just couldn't fight what was trying to control him. When the cicadas calls, Shaggy gets a note from Mr. E in his bag of chips saying there was a mystery to uncover at the hospital. See, he's trying to help them. So, I don't know, Mr. E was very, very complicated. The Wild Brood. Mystery sends them a clue on the computer of a dancing swordfish. Where walks Aphrodite? Professor Pericles returns. He wants to help Scooby stop Aphrodite and save his friends. They work together to save the people of the town from the love spell. Professor Pericles attacks Aphrodite to help Scooby escape with the antidote. They break the spell off the gang and was shocked to see the parrots. Angel saves them from the town. Angel and Professor Pericles has an intense meeting. Ed shows up with a message from I added the look between Angel and Professor Pericles in my note just because it was obviously important to show about who Cassidy is and her past and her connection with Pericles. Because you can definitely tell that there's something there that they knew each other or something. Um, Ed shows up with a message from Mystery, and Angel didn't look surprised. The message was of Professor Pericles. He put all of this in motion to get the ingredients he needed. Professor Pericles is after the cursed treasure, and he's on the verge of discovering, which could mean the end of Crystal Cove. See, there again, Mr. E truly wanted to stop Professor Pericles. Wanted to stop all of this at the beginning. He did. I just think when Professor Pericles shows back up and then Brother Judy shows back up, it became harder to fight the evil that had overtaken all of them. Escape from Mystery Manor. Flashback to what happened to the Darrow family. You find out what happened to them. The family fought over treasure and the house broke. The gang talks about the clues they have so far, including Angel. Angel tells them that Mystery left a journal and it turns out it was Cassidy's. Of course, that was a lie. You could tell it was a lie just by looking at her. She suggests they check out the last entry before they disappeared. She's trying to help them without them finding out how she's connected to all of this. The gang heads to find the Darrow mansion that's missing underneath the town. A voice talks to them, thinking they're the original Mystery Incorporated, and sets traps to keep them from their cursed treasure. The gang survives them. The voice turned out to be Danny Darrow. Danny explains the flashback from before. The treasure they were fighting for is cursed. The mansion is torn apart, and Danny decides to stay so they can escape and keep the cursed treasure. The mayor was watching them the entire time. The mayor is also Fred's dad, so makes you wonder. The siren song. Angel tells them about something that was going on 20 years ago. Velma says she didn't know she was living at Crystal Cove that long. Angel paused and said she wasn't. Obviously Velma knew something up was after that. But Velma discovered Angel's lies and finds out that she's Cassidy Williams via a newspaper. Which I mentioned Cassidy already. She's one of the original Mystery Inc. gang. Menace of the Manticore. Angel goes to Mr. E. Turns out she's working with him, trying to keep Professor Pericles from going after the gang, trying to protect them. See, Mr. E was trying to protect them. Like, I still think my theory's right. It never actually says if that's what's happened, but there's no way it's not at this point. I lost where I'm at. The mayor asks for their help, the gang's help. Angel and Velma talk, and Velma hasn't told the rest of the gang. Angel asked if she had the disc, and she said Fred hid it. And she said, keep it good. The mayor acts suspicious as he looks at a scroll. Angel goes to Mr. E again. She bugged Velma and discovered that Shaggy had it. Mr. E's face is finally revealed. Though you still don't know who Mr. E is or how he knows Cassidy. A haunting in Crystal Cove. Something is attacking the mayor in his house. I am an old friend and I want what you took from me. Mayor was grabbed. That's what the creature said. The mayor was grabbed. They rewind the cameras and find out that he wasn't taken but faked it. Then they see he grabbed a part of the disc. Pericles ended up being the one haunting the mayor and got away with the disc. Of course. Pawn of Shadows. Flashback of the original Mystery Incorporated. They find a piece of parchment of a map and the freak was watching them. Velma realizes the writing on the disc is backwards and Spanish. They open the trunk from Darrow University and find a message from Mr. E. He tells them to begin where this mystery ended. Someone wants to destroy Mystery Incorporated, managing to destroy the van and the trunk. Angel, Mr. E, and Ed watch the gang. Mr. E tells Ed to watch out for them, and Angel is worried. Mr. E brought Angel back to Crystal Cove. We find out that. Which, uh, which means Mr. E knew that this was gonna happen again and wanted to help the gang, which means he's the one that got Angel here and the one that convinced Angel to get close to them in the first place, which means this entire time the two of them were working together. It wasn't a thing that happened right after she was discovered to be Cassidy. I lost where I'm at again. Um, they want to know the treasure is and where the other discs are. They go to the church where Pericles has stolen the map. They found an identical locket to the one Daphne found before. They found a secret hole that leads somewhere, but the person after them doesn't want it to be discovered. Angel shows up to fight them and save the gang, but she falls into the wall but still beats the person she was fighting. It turned out to be Alice May, sent by Mystery, shocking Angel because he wanted to draw out Pericles. She found out that Mystery obviously isn't. Well, he's still helping them, but also at this point he's angry and Pericles, so he also put them into danger, and it just surprised her because she truly cares about the kids and definitely wants to help them. Um, Velma tells Angel to tell the gang, and she tells them who she is. They explain she explains that the freak threatened them to leave or he'll hurt their loved ones. Angel begs them to leave this alone, but they no longer trust her. The freak was watching the entire gang as this all happened. All fear the freak. Flashback of the original Mystery Incorporated in the cave finding the planispheric disc, but they only found one. It turned out to be a booby trap, causing them to lose the locket and they barely escaped. Then the freak showed up. The groove get back in present time. The group gets ready to meet up. Mayor tells Fred he loves him. They get ready to break into Mayor's office. They are still mad at Angel and Velma for keeping secrets. Fred discovers the picture of his mom is from a magazine. They find the scroll of the planispheric disc. Blah, I can't say that word. In the office. The freak attacks them. The freak attacks Shaggy and Scooby at the house, who has the planispheric disc, and Ed saves them. Angel brought everyone to the radio station to protect them, but instead they end up locking Angel up. Pericles goes to Ed's house. You find out Mr. E's Ricky from the original Mystery Incorporated. Pericles murdered Ed. This show did get a little bit dark here and there. The gang goes to where the mystery began and plans to end it. Pericles shows up. Turns out he put a tracker on the mystery machine. The freak showed up, hurting Pericles, and took the piece from Velma. The booby trap is put in motion, nearly getting them all killed. Fred goes after the freak, almost dying by hanging off a cliff. The freak goes back to save him. Fred catches him, unmasking him to be the mayor. The mayor explains trying to get to the Planetfair's desk, and Pericles was willing to betray his friends. He threatened them to leave town, gaining their piece of the disc. He betrayed Pericles. It's revealed that Brad and Judy are Fred's parents. Brad and Judy is the couple from the locket. I don't think I mentioned that before, but I wanted to be clear. So they're also from the original Mystery. Mary took him and took in baby Fred and threatened them to never return. The mayor no longer has the planet disc though. And because of everything that happened with Fred's dad and Velma keeping Angel's secret, they all end up splitting up. And Pericles talks to Scooby, revealing he has the missing piece. And then season 2. The night the clown cried. The gang is still split up. The mayor gets the gang back except Daphne, the new mayor, obviously. They failed at catching Crybaby Clown. Velma tells them that nobody has heard from Mr. E or Pericles, and that Angel tried to visit her once, but she refused to talk to her. Scooby tells them about his conversation with Pericles. House of the Nightmare Witch. Velma's working for Mr. E along with Marcy, and they have gotten close, but they're keeping it a secret. Velma convinces the gang. See, Velma just everyone was mad at her for keeping the secret about Angel, but yet she's working with Mr. E and she doesn't tell anyone. She obviously did not learn from her mistakes. Velma convinces the gang to let Marcy into the group. Velma and Marcy convince them to do the new mystery because Mr. E wants them to. Mr. E was upset that the witch got away, but Scooby heard the phone call and told Fred and Shaggy. Velma and Marcy go back and find another piece of the Planet Fair's disc, but the gang catches them. Velma tells the truth and says she was only doing this so Pericles doesn't get it, but it was never going to give it to Mr. E, Mystery shows up at Marcy's house saying that he can't trust Velma and Mystery Incorporated's days are numbered. See, at this point, he looks like he's ready to hurt them again, but the entire time beforehand, he looked like he was willing to help them, like he actually didn't want them to, what happened to him and his friends to happen to them. So he's very complicated. But then again, I think it was just harder for him to fight the evil like it was for Angel. Um, Angel gets Tears of Doom. That's the answer wrong. Angel gets a haircut. Mystery tells Angel that they're coming back for Fred. Angel says that she's not Angel, she's Cassidy Williams. Mystery wants to get close to them and uh, wants her to get close to them, and she refused, not wanting to hurt them again, saying they're good kids, better than they were. Mystery makes a comment about the naive Cassidy he once fell in love with. Angel shows herself to the gang, but they're still mad at her. She asks if she can help, but they refuse. Velma and Marcy get close despite Mystery's warnings. Daphne comes back to the gang, and Velma and Marcy share a look. Web of the Dreamweaver. Marcy gets kicked out of the gang. Marcy was heartbroken. Marcy calls Mr. E and says she has Velma right where she wants her. Mr. E calls Velma. He says she's making the wrong choices and she hung up on him. Brad and Judy return. The Hodag of Horror. Inside the cheese was another planispheric disc. The end of the episode, Pericles sets up a meeting with the original Mystery Incorporated. Arts of Darkness. Angel tells Brad and Judy they need to talk, but they said it wasn't a good time. Angel tries to talk to them again, who were acting strange about maps they were looking at. They weren't friendly, and she asked them to think of Fred. Angel was on the radio talking about the truth and the evil resides in Crystal Cove. The Gathering Gloom. Mr. E comes to talk to Velma, wanting her on his side, but she refused. Then Pericles talks to Mystery, saying the original Mystery Incorporated doesn't trust him. Mystery is still bitter when he had betrayed him. There's a flashback of Mystery and Pericles when they were young. Mystery makes an alliance with Pericles. Angel has another radio message about evil underneath the town. Be careful of foul play, especially of the feather kind, which is her little message about Pericles. The two agree that they need to silence Angel forever. Night on Haunted Mountain. Dark Lilith is attacking them. They find an old ship on a mountain and a journal. It turned out to be the conquistadors who founded their town and went missing. They were controlled by an evil entity. They all took a piece of it and went their separate ways. He hid his on the ship. They found the piece when Dark Lilith attacked, trying to get it. The ship crashed. Dark Lilith almost got away with the disc, but Velma knew she was Marcy. Velma figured out that she was still working with Mr. E. Marcy ended up giving her the disc and running to hide from Mr. E's wrath. The gang has the disc. They now have 3 of the 6 pieces. Pericles has 2, and there's still 1 more missing. Daphne thinks that if they don't find it, the piece will find them. Ghost of the Captain was watching them and said Nibiru. This is the first time it's said, but it gets said several times more later on. Grim Judgment. Brad and Judy try to get close to Fred, and Fred refuses to accept their help. Fred finally accepts Brad and Judy's help in order to save Daphne. Angel is watching Fred with Brad and Judy. Night Terrors. They're stranded at the Burlington Library. There's several pictures of the mystery solvers. A book was thrown out a window, and it was written by the person who created the disc. The book is a user's manual. Angel was behind it, trying to nudge them in the right direction. So she's still trying to help, even though they're mad at her. Which you can't blame them for being mad at her, but it shows that she truly cares. Because even when they are mad at her, she still wants to help. The Midnight Zone. Cassidy needs help as robots keep attacking and trying to kill her. The team go underwater. A ghost head tells them to leave. They get attacked and chased by robots. The ghost head makes water rise because they refuse to leave. They find a coal mine where robots are being created. The robots attack again. They find a skeleton that says Nibiru. It's said again. I told you it would be said again. They realize there were at least 4 groups. Then Pericles shows up, revealing that he's in charge of this operation. The robots chase them again. A timer starts, and they rush to get the sub. Daphne realized that Cassidy loved Mystery. Cassidy sacrificed herself so everyone else can leave. Scare Bear. The first Mystery Incorporated discussed how they have 3 pieces and the new ones have 3. The first Mystery Incorporated discussed how they have 3 pieces and the new gang have 3 pieces. Pericles and Mystery want Brad and Judy to manipulate Fred to get their pieces. Brad and Judy sneak into Fred's room and they tell Pericles and Mystery that they plan to use Scooby to get into Destroido, and they come up with the plan to capture them to give them time to search for the pieces. Mystery is the owner of Destroido and tries to convince the sheriff to lock them up. He says to them, "This isn't over." He tells Pericles what happened. Pericles is willing to go to greater measures. Pericles teams set the bomb. Pericles and Mystery want Brad and Judy to betray Fred. Wrath of the Krampus. Brad and Judy want to get the disc from Fred. Nibiru is this explosion, a doomsday. They found out. Pericles teams Pericles' team is trying to go after the pieces while the team is on their mission. They think they got the disc, only to find out the entire mission was fake so that they can get all the discs. They finally put all the pieces together, but they don't know what to do now. I love that scene. It's one of my favorite scenes. Like the entire episode there, the gang is going from place to place, and while the old Mr. Gang is following them, trying to get the pieces before they get caught by the new gang, and then they end up being successful only to when they open it they find it's missing, and then find out, and it said there was a tape. They play the tape. They find out that not only did they knew that this was happening the entire time and was playing them this entire time, and then not only did they not get the gang's pieces, but they got their pieces instead. So now they have all 6 pieces. But they put the pieces together, but they just don't know what to do now. The new gang. Heart of Evil. The disc encrypted with Nibiru typed into it. Theater of Doom. Pericles is angry for Brad and Judy failing. He wants the disc. There was a play of Friar and the Donkey's story, which is part of the history of Crystal Cove. The donkey wasn't trying to save the town, but destroy it. Okay, Friar's ghost comes to them, telling them that the story of Crystal Cove was a lie. The donkey wasn't trying to save the town, but destroy it. Friar has hid the last disc piece. He tells them he tells them it has happened before and is always the animal. Aliens Among Us. The group trying to think what the disc could lead them to. The disc is encrypted. Senior P Yahweh 341151182884. They find Senior P Yahweh's grave, but found it empty except a gun. The first key. Brad and Judy had made a fire in their office. The horrible herd. Marcy left a way for the gang to spy on Mr. E and Pericles at Destroido. Mr. E isn't agreeing with the others anymore. This is when you can tell he's actually trying to truly fight the evil at this point. And around the time you find out that he still has feelings for Cassidy despite everything. Pericles talked about getting rid of Ed, Machina, and Cassidy and threatened Mystery. He admitted that he created the Skull Cattle in order to destroy Crystal Cove and find the disc. The old gang watched the destruction from afar. The gang grabbed the queen to lead the herd away. Pericles gets angry, unleashing unleashing the herd, causing Mystery to get angry. The cattle swim off to the world. They swam off. Dance of the Undead. The Hex Girls see the music on the disc and dots are there that weren't there before. The Hex Girls sing, a set of coordinates appear and they think it might lead to the treasure. They go to the shack and find a helmet that says S Yahweh, which is the second key. The dog wakes up and says Nibiru is coming. I haven't really talked about the dog because she wasn't important until now. But Brad and Judy had a dog with her that Scooby fell in love with her. But after the whole cattle thing, she ends up falling out of the helicopter when they were trying to lead the herd away, and she ended up in a coma. Long story short. The Devouring. Pericles was locked out of the system. Mystery was looking at pictures of Cassidy. Mystery thinks this is too far, and Pericles says he's nothing. Scooby is scared from what the dog said. Velma admits. I kept saying the dog because I can never remember her name, but her name is Nova, I think. I remember it now because they said it enough, but I kept saying the dog because I could never remember what her name was. But Nova. Velma admits that something supernatural is happening. Mystery tells Brad and Judy that Pericles is dangerous and wants to get rid of him so the 3 of them can get the treasure. She dropped a bowl with the same engraving. See, Mr. E still wanted the treasure because he was still being controlled by the evil entity, but he still wasn't being controlled enough like the other three that he didn't want to go as far as Pericles was going. Um, I lost where she dropped a bowl with the same engraving the third key. Mr. E told Pericles he's out. Brad and Judy warned Pericles while E slept. Pericles put venom in his body to control him. He plans to steal the disc and then destroy the kids. So now he has no choice but to do what Pericles says. Stand and deliver. Scooby has a dream where he was having a date with Nova when robots try to kill them. Nova wakes up saying Nibiru is coming when more robots come, only for it to be another dream. Scooby falls asleep at the library and sees Nova, following her to a weird red room with a short dancing man that knew his name. Velma finds a sheet of paper saying Quote Lave Yave in a book, which is the fourth key. Scooby has another dream. The little man said his time has come. Nova is being possessed by a Anunnaki to talk to him. She explains the most evil one is beneath Crystal Cove and he must save the world. Scooby must save the world. The man in the mirror. Fred goes through a mirror and a different Fred comes out. The gang can tell something is off with Fred. He isn't acting like Fred at all. He's mean and doesn't know anything about his friends or himself. Old Daphne tells Fred in the other mirror, the real Fred is with Daphne, or old Daphne. He's in the future, so he thinks he is. Old Daphne tells Fred that the disc used up time and everyone died until she was alone. Fred takes old Daphne on a wild goose chase, trying to find where he hid the disc. The fake Fred has an earpiece and going to the places the real Fred is telling them. All the places the real Fred took them spelled out fake Fred, and Velma figured it out. Skeletons started attacking the real Fred and old Daphne. Fred knew all along that Daphne wasn't Daphne and that this is the movie studio fake to look like a destroyed Crystal Cove. Fake Fred takes the gang to the abandoned factory and tells everyone to search for her. I love how Fred figured out that Daphne wasn't Daphne because, like, she just, everything, he just knew Daphne and she kept saying things wrong that he knew wasn't right. Like her catchphrase, for instance. Fake Fred finds the disc and reveals they know he isn't the real Fred. Real Fred shows up and attacks fake Fred. Both Freds got trapped by a magnet. Daphne asked how they felt about her, and she knew the one that had trouble expressing his feelings was the real one. Fake Fred was really Brad and old Fred Daphne was really Judy. They had plastic surgery to trick them. Pericles shows up saying he'll destroy the thing he cares about most. Robots grab Daphne and Fred gives them the disc. Pericles places this somewhere and says he's going to set his master free. Dun dun dun. Nightmare in Red. Scooby has another dream in the red room with Nova. The little man said he didn't want to be there anymore. It's too late. He's found us, said the little man. A monster attacks him. The man from his dream is on the back of a book about supernatural curses, so they visit him. They find several drawings of the freak. He says it comes in his dreams and Scooby is probably already a goner. The man in Scooby's dream is the best part of him and is trapped. They all go through hypnosis to get into Scooby's dream. Hypnosis. He gives Velma a talisman to give to his other self, saying her skepticism is her greatest strength. They enter Scooby's dream to find statues of every villain they ever faced. When Fred touched the mayor, he wakes up and explains that this is the best parts of all of them that have been obsessed with the treasure. He says he got the idea of the freak from his dreams and knows who it is, but then they get attacked before he can say it. That's always how it goes, isn't it? As they're all running, they all split up and find different areas and people from the past that they know of, along with the keys that they have already found, like the older group of Mystery Inc. gangs and like the Darrow family and stuff. And each one of them has one of the keys. Where am I? They all found each other. Scooby finds Nova's trail and only to get attacked again. They all end up in some sort of pyramids and the lights was burning the freak. He took the talisman and ran. Nova said they are the true inheritors of the originals. They trap the freak and bring him to the light. The freak was the original captain of the Spanish conquistadors. He didn't want them to learn how to destroy the entity. He didn't want them him and his men to be set free from this torment because they deserve it. They go to the top of the pyramid to find a golden statue of a group of kids and an animal, the original gang. Ever since, they keep corrupting a group of kids and an animal mystery solvers. The original group realized they were being manipulated and was about to destroy it when the captain stopped them and took it, unleashing it, thinking it's a great treasure. Nova tells Scooby to use the heart of the jaguar. The gang realized they've been manipulated all their lives and that everything they've ever known was a lie. Scooby says they need to find the heart of the jaguar. Very intense stuff. Dark Night of the Hunters. We're almost done. So, Velma's mom asks a friend of hers to get the heart of the jaguar hidden in a temple. He gets attacked and disappears. They all fear that this entity is the reason why they're all together in the first place. They head there to find answers. The shop was destroyed. They think they know where the temple is when they get attacked by vines. A villain warns them not to go or they'll be doomed, especially Velma's mom. They find the temple. They place booby traps. They find a coffin with a skeleton holding the spear. Scooby grabs it when the villain comes back. They manage to escape with the spear. The villain was Velma's mom's friend. Mayor Nettles shows up and reveals she's had a nightmare and had to help the gang bring the spear back to Crystal Cove. Gates of Gloom. They returned to Crystal Cove only for it to be deserted. The sheriff said everyone was gone below the town. The sheriff and mayor are pulled below. The gang become quiet to not get taken. They find out Velma's mom had gone too. Velma thinks the mystery has to do with the evil entity underneath town. They think the evil intelligence below is why this town is so weird. The time of Nibiru is upon them. The disk perfectly mirrors the planets in the solar system. There's a 10th planet, Planet X, about to come into play. This disruption makes it weak, which is why the entity must be destroyed. The spear can destroy it and undo all the evil. The disk can locate the evil and found the 4 keys. It feels like we know a lot and know nothing at the same time. That's what one of them said. I don't remember who. I didn't write down who said it. Robots attack them. They go underground. They find all the missing townspeople doing hard labor. They spy on the old gang. Mystery Mrs. Cassidy. Judy wants to go back to her old self, but Pericles doesn't care. Brad and Judy are fighting. Mystery E yells about how they are all unraveling the closer they get to the treasure, realizing Cassidy was right all along. Pericles said he's almost arrived and told them to destroy the workers. Mr. E refuses to help, but Pericles hits the button that shoots venom throughout his body, and he agreed. They plan to sneak in and cause the current gang plan to sneak in and cause an uprising. Shaggy volunteers to go down and spread the word, and Scooby goes with them as they dress up as robots. They finally dig up the doorway to lead to the entity. The mystery machine drives through the. I love the scene. It's one of my favorite scenes. Like when they find out that the new gang had tricked the old gang. 2 of my favorite scenes besides the final fight. Oh, where am I? Shaggy kills a bunch of robots to save Scooby kills a bunch of robots to save Shaggy. The robots attack the mystery machine and surround it. Fred hits a button as it blows up. Everyone crying and screaming, thinking the 3 of them were in there. It was real that they were never in the mystery machine. Pericles uses the disc to open the doorway and says he wants the kids to follow. He needs Scooby to die at the right moment. The kids enter the doorway. Now, through the curtain. I've been sitting like this for too long. My legs hurt. The entity knows they're coming, saying they are his proudest creation. He wants them to free so that he can set fire to the world. Brad and Judy fight. Mystery says the cursed treasure is tearing them to pieces, and he wishes Cassidy could see this. Pericles says he always lacked the stomach for greatness. They come upon a door. Judy asks what they're waiting for. Pericles says the kids. They will soon learn their role in all this. Each key is one of the elements, and each opens a gate. Pericles calls for the gang. Pericles kidnapped Marcy to get them to use the key to open the gate. The gang decides to go together. Fred refuses to let them do it as he opens it. Fred warns them to hold on to something as it's a trap. Pericles realizes this. Fred opens the gate as strong wind blows them. Pericles orders a robot to grab Daphne and he threw her at the gate. Fred managed to stop it by using the air key, opening the gate. Marcy grabs Pericles, threatening him, buying them time to go. Mystery is disappointed in himself. They free Pericles and point guns at Marcy, killing her. They come upon the second gate and use the earth key to open it. Rock Monster attacks them and they trick it to run through a rock wall. They come upon the third gate and fill the water key with water as water pours out. They fall down a waterfall in a boat. The old gang keeps following the path of gates the mystery gang opened. Mystery E said none of them are going to make it out of this, and he's glad. They look under they look underwater to see the gate and swim towards it. The end of nah, the end up upside down in a new they end up upside down in a new dimension. They come upon the last gate. They agreed they would do this together. Daphne figured out this guy isn't the key. That the guy isn't the key. The gun isn't the key. Okay, that's why I was confused. Okay, I accidentally wrote guy instead of gun. The gun isn't the key. The flint is, and it opened the gate. They come upon a creepy coffin as it speaks, ordering them to set him free, but they are there to destroy it. He said this is their destiny, that he formed them together. The planet alignment started. The gang said their love for each other is real, and that the entity lies. Pericles shows up and steals the spear, grabbing the gang and freeing the entity. Come undone, the last episode. Nova talks about all the Mystery Incorporated gangs, saying that Nibiru is upon them and that only Scooby can stop him. The entity grabs Scooby and says the dog must die and be used as his vessel. Pericles said to consume and give him the power, and the entity agrees. Pericles is destroyed as the entity takes over. The entity eats Brad and Judy. The gang run from the killer robot. Scooby grabs the spear, ready to face the entity, but fails. The spear breaks. The robots bring the gang to the entity. The gang was about to die when Mr. E saves them and tells them to run, sacrificing himself as he was eaten as well. The entity couldn't attack them as a magical force field surrounded them. The entity decided to destroy Crystal Cove and eat the townspeople instead. The gang manages to escape, but the spear is broken, and the gang is trapped. Time freezes. Scooby sees Nova. She tells him the heart of the jaguar was never the spear, and that when the time is right, he will know what to do. The entity tries to attack them again, but the force field protects them again. Scooby realizes it and runs as the others follow. He grabs the broken spear and tells them the heart is them, the five of them. When the five of them stand together, their friendship and love is the heart. It's something not even the entity can defeat. The entity is still connected to the sarcophagus. It's a portal. They all run towards it, passing it to each other. See, this scene parallels the scene from the live action movies with Sarah Michelle Gellar in them, because in the second movie, because there's two of them in the second movie, there's a scene when they're all trying to grab the thing that's brought all the that turned the costumes of monsters into the real monster, um and they were passing it to each other as this one giant monster kept grabbing them, and it ended up Scooby was the last one to get it and destroyed it to save the day. And this is that same thing that happened. They were all passing it to each other. They all got captured by robots, and then Scooby was the last one to have it. Maybe that's why these are my two favorite adaptations. I don't know. Anyways, moving on. Where am I? I have no idea. um, um, They all run towards it, passing it to each other as they get captured one by one. Shaggy throws it and Scooby kicks it, destroying the sarcophagus and the entity. A strong wind pulls them all forward, taking the town with it as they hold on to one another. They all wake up to a new and restored Crystal Cove. The gang is happy but realize something is different. Instead of saying the most haunted place, it says the sunniest place. They discover that nothing that has happened because of the entity actually happened. The evil people never turned evil and everyone is happy. The gang are the only ones with any memory of this. Fred's other dad gave him a disc that said E. They were sad that there was no more mysteries and felt like they didn't belong. The author that they met in another episode. I didn't mention it because he wasn't important for the overall mystery. Um, is on the videotape and said that he knew that what they did. Saying they were special to remember, and he got them admitted to his college and that there's lots of mysteries for them to solve. The gang painted the van to make it the mystery machine and left. Nova said thank you, saying that Scooby was the bravest dog to ever live. So that is the overarching mystery from the very beginning to the very end. I might also do a video. I was thinking about it as I was reading that stuff about doing like explaining like the history of Crystal Cove instead of the mystery itself, like starting from the conquistadors, because this is a little bit different because it obviously doesn't start from the beginning because you just find out clues and you have to piece them together. But if I keep my notes instead of deleting them after this video and just look at all of them, then I can find the ones that go first and just like put them in order, chronological order for the history of Crystal Cove. If you guys want that video, let me know and I will do it. So thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. It helps with the YouTube algorithm, and I'll talk to you guys next time.